picture this. You are looking at a portrait that just, well, it screams absolute control.
Oh, completely. It's a very striking image.
Right. It's this hyper-stylized, really intense image of a monkey, but completely divorced from any kind of normal zoo animal aesthetic.
Yeah, there's no tire swing in the background here.
Exactly. He's staring right at you with these glowing, intense red eyes.
Yeah.
And he's dressed impeccably in this dark blue jacket, covered in all these intricate, almost mystical patterns.
And the hat, too.
Oh yeah, topped with a wide-brimmed blue hat that has a regal crest on it. He's just resting his chin on his hand, exuding this quiet, slightly menacing power.
It's very cinematic.
It is. And the backdrop is this purplish jungle with a glowing red moon. Floating right at the bottom of this pattern text is his name, DrMonkeyMan.
It really is an aesthetic that's entirely designed to project total mastery. I mean, looking at that image, the immediate assumption you make is that this character is, a master of his universe.
Right, like he has it all together.
Exactly. Someone who has optimizing every single variable of his life completely figured out.
And that assumption is exactly the trap we are dissecting today. Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to analyze this striking visual source alongside a modern, written financial fable.
Set in the very aptly named Kingdom of Prosperity Jungle.
Yes, Prosperity Jungle. We're going to extract the hidden behavioral mechanics of wealth building buried inside this really whimsical story and figure out how you, the listener, can apply those very real psychological secrets to your own life.
Because there's a lot hiding under the surface of this one.
There really is. Okay, let's unpack this. The hilarious disconnect here is that the badass, hyper-competent-looking character in that portrait, in the actual text of the fable, he is an absolute financial train wreck.
Oh, total chaos. The contrast is just brilliant. It's this incredibly sharp critique of, modern performative wealth.
Performative being the key word there.
Right, because the image projects infinite capability, but the reality behind the scenes is just pure operational chaos.
Yeah, so the text introduces DrMonkeyMan as this world-famous inventor. He's operating out of a towering tree lab that's glowing with monitors, and he's surrounded by banana-shaped drones just buzzing around day and night.
Which is such a funny detail.
Yeah.
Banana-shaped drone.
I know, the guy clearly loves his gadgets. And he is paid handsomely for all this. Once a month, the king's treasury credits his account this massive sum for his, quote, incredible scientific services.
And you'd think that would be enough, right?
You would. But the second that salary hits, MonkeyMan literally dances across his lab shouting, "Payday paradise has begun."
The dopamine just completely takes it.
Oh, 100%. He feasts, he shops, he ordered all these shiny new gadgets. He does this until his, quote, branch-sized credit card squeaked.
The sheer strain of his lifestyle is literally making the plastic squeak.
Exactly. And by the time the moon cycles again, our glowing-eyed genius is just sitting there counting loose coins to buy a cup of coffee.
What's fascinating here is how accurately this mirrors the behavioral trap of the high-earning, broke professional. DrMonkeyMan does not have an income problem.
No, not at all.
He has a behavioral economics problem. We constantly conflate income with wealth. But income is, well, it's simply the velocity of money entering your life.
Right.
Wealth is the accumulation of unspent energy.
I think the best way to visualize the mechanics of his failure here is to imagine, like, a high-pressure fire hose.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so the king's salary is this massive, powerful stream of water. But MonkeyMan is pointing that fire hose into a bucket that has a gigantic hole blown out of the bottom.
The water just shoots right through.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how much pressure comes out of the hose, right?
Yeah.
The water level in the bucket is never going to rise.
Right.
That hole is lifestyle creep.
It's just draining instantly.
Yeah. It's like having $1 million sports car, but you're having to dig through the couch cushions just to find gas money. You look incredibly successful holding the fire hose, but your day-to-day reality is highly stressful because you have no actual reserves.
And that stress is a direct product of what behavioral economists call hyperbolic discounting.
Hyperbolic discounting. Break that down for us.
Sure. It's basically the human brain's hardwired tendency to choose a smaller immediate reward over a much larger delayed reward.
So the dopamine rush of Payday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When MonkeyMan shouts, "Payday paradise," his brain is just flooded with dopamine. He is prioritizing the sensory, immediate gratification of feasts and gadgets because, evolutionarily, our brains aren't built to comprehend a concept like a 30-year retirement plan.
Right, our ancestors were just worried about surviving Tuesday.
Precisely. We are built to consume the calories today because tomorrow is entirely uncertain.
So it's the illusion of being rich for 48 hours,
Yeah.
followed by 3 weeks of pure financial anxiety. And for you listening, ask yourself if that cycle feels familiar.
It's a very common trap.
It is. Now, the text brings this reality check in the form of a character named Meerkat Maven. She is described as the kingdom's top financial alchemist.
She's essentially the intervention.
Yeah, the wake-up call. She drops by the tree lab on one of his broke afternoons. She steps right over unpaid bills and all the expensive junk he bought in his payday high and just hits him with this brutal diagnosis.
It's a great line.
She says, "Doctor, you earn like a king, but live like a jester."
Ouch. I mean, the jester puts on an elaborate, expensive show for today's audience. The king quietly builds a fortress for tomorrow.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, Maven is pointing out that his entire financial life is performative. He is consuming his capital to maintain an aesthetic rather than deploying his capital to build actual infrastructure.
Which brings us to her solution.
Yeah.
She gives him the core philosophy to basically plug that leaky bucket. Maven tells him that to outsmart his own expenses, he has to save first, not last.
Which goes against what almost everyone actually does.
Right, most people save whatever happens to be left over. But she instructs him to divide his salary the absolute moment it's born. Half for investment, half for living. And she leaves him with this really chilling warning. She says, "Otherwise, your future self will starve."
That phrasing, the moment it's born, that is the antidote to Parkinson's law.
Oh, Parkinson's law, right, where work expands to fill the time.
Exactly. In productivity, Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time allotted. In finance, it's the same mechanic. Expenses universally expand to consume the income available.
So if the money is there, you'll find a reason to spend it.
Always. If you leave $1 sitting in your checking account, your brain will subconsciously invent a utility for that dollar. By moving it the moment it is born, you are leveraging mental accounting bias to your advantage.
You hide it from yourself.
You remove the capital from the mental bucket labeled available to spend.
Well, I want to push back on this, or at least play devil's advocate for the listener here, because MonkeyMan immediately says, half. That's impossible.
It's a huge shock to his system.
It is. And let's be intellectually honest. If you are listening to this right now and your bucket is already empty before the next paycheck even arrives, telling someone to suddenly slice their income in half and lock it away.
It sounds completely detached from reality.
Yeah. It sounds like telling someone dangling from a sheer cliff face to just casually let go of one hand. How does the text justify prescribing such a massive, terrifying leap?
Well, the friction of that leap is exactly the point. Maven doesn't coddle him at all. Her reply is actually quite stinging. She says, "Impossible only for monkeys who fear discipline."
Wow.
It sounds harsh, but she is forcing a fundamental psychological reframe. MonkeyMan believes that saving 50% means violently restricting himself today. He sees it as self-punishment.
Right, he feels like he's losing out.
But Maven is reframing it as prioritization. It isn't about restriction. It is about deciding who gets the benefit of the labor, the monkey today or the monkey 10 years from now.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. MonkeyMan understands that mindset shift, but he knows himself too well.
He knows his weaknesses.
Yeah, he knows he has absolutely no discipline. He loves those banana-shaped drones way too much. So instead of trying to magically conjure up a surplus of willpower, he leans into what he is actually good at, inventing.
He builds a machine.
He builds a machine. He designs his boldest creation yet. He calls it Project 50/50, and the core of it is this device named the Salary Splitter 2.0.
This is the turning point where the fable moves from generic financial advice into advanced behavioral strategy.
And the fable describes this incredible visual. The moment the king's salary hits, this machine activates. There are lasers, mechanical arms swinging wildly, flashing lights, literal confetti dropping.
A total spectacle.
Right. And before MonkeyMan can even touch a single coin, the machine physically splits the funds into 2 giant, sealed vaults. Vault A is the future fund, strictly for investments. Vault B is the living fund, for his daily bills and, his gadgets.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, MonkeyMan has essentially engineered the ultimate defense against decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue.
Yeah, willpower is not a character trait. It is a depleting biological resource.
Like a battery.
Exactly like a battery. Every single time you have to consciously talk yourself out of buying something, your brain burns glucose. Eventually, you will have a stressful day, your defenses will naturally lower, and you will swipe that squeaking credit card.
You just give in.
Right. So by using lasers and mechanical arms, which, is just a whimsical metaphor for setting up an irrevocable routing system.
Like automatic bank transfers.
Exactly. He removed the need for daily willpower entirely.
He completely automated his discipline. And what I love is that the text doesn't sugarcoat the immediate aftermath. It explicitly says his lifestyle shrank.
It had to.
Yeah, the splurges on random lab gadgets slowed way down. But something entirely new bloomed in his life: stability.
Which is huge.
For the first time, he woke up without that low-level financial stress just constantly scratching at his brain.
That absence of stress is the invisible immediate dividend of saving.
Ooh, I love that. The immediate dividend.
You don't have to wait 30 years for compound interest to do its job to feel the benefit. The very next day, you get your mental bandwidth back.
Because you aren't worrying about making rent.
Precisely. He created artificial scarcity in Vault B. Because humans, and I guess monkeys too, are incredibly adaptable, he simply adjusted his baseline lifestyle to fit the smaller living fund.
While Vault A is just growing on its own.
Right, Vault A quietly accumulated mass in the background without requiring any cognitive effort on his part.
And Vault A grew into this highly eccentric portfolio. He invested in solar fruit energy startups, jungle infrastructure projects, and a coconut-powered AI assistant.
Naturally.
Naturally. But, an automated strategy like this only truly proves its worth when the system is actually shocked. A financial strategy in a vacuum is easy.
Right, everyone's a genius in a bull market.
Exactly. So the fable introduces this event called the Great Market Panic.
The stress test.
Yeah.
A stormy season hits prosperity jungle. Markets crash, rumors spread, jobs wobble.
Panic just echoes across every branch in the kingdom. Everyone is terrified, losing sleep, operating out of pure fear. But DrMonkeyMan, he sleeps soundly.
He's unbothered.
The text uses this really beautiful imagery, stating his investments cushioned him, quote, like a safety net of golden vines.
The contrast here is between the cognitive tax of poverty and the cognitive freedom of abundance.
Cognitive tax.
Yes, when you have no buffer, a crisis forces your brain into a defensive crouch. Research by behavioral economists shows that financial scarcity literally temporarily drops your IQ.
Wait, really? It drops your IQ?
Yes. You stop innovating, you stop taking calculated risks, and your entire processing power is dedicated simply to surviving the next 24 hours. You just have tunnel vision.
Wow.
But MonkeyMan bypassed that cognitive drop entirely.
So what does this all mean for him in practice? Because of those golden vines, he didn't just survive the panic, he actively thrived.
He was on offense while everyone else was playing defense.
Exactly. He used his reserves to innovate faster, while his competitors were paralyzed by fear. He even went out and offered jobs to the struggling creatures in the jungle. He became an anchor of stability.
Which is true wealth.
It is. And I want you, the listener, to really pause and reflect on that mechanism. What kind of bold moves could you make in your career or your business or even your relationships if you had a golden vine safety net, completely altering your risk profile?
It changes everything. You can negotiate harder for a raise because you aren't terrified of being fired.
And walk away.
Exactly. You can pivot to an entirely new industry. When you decouple your survival from your next paycheck, your brain is actually free to spot asymmetric opportunities that fearful people literally cannot perceive.
His success is so undeniable that when the panic finally ends, the king himself visits the tree lab demanding his secret. And MonkeyMan delivers the thesis statement of this entire deep dive to the king.
The big reveal.
He says, I don't spend what I want. I spend what remains after saving what I must.
It perfectly inverts the standard consumer algorithm.
Right.
The amateur spends and hopes to save the leftovers, which, as we know, never actually exist. The master surgically extracts the required capital first and guiltlessly consumes whatever remains.
Guiltlessly, yes. This philosophy completely transforms the kingdom's culture. They adopt the MonkeyMan formula. It actually becomes a mantra carved into coconut shells across the jungle.
Salary, arrow, save 40 to 50%. Immediately, arrow, live on the rest.
Now, we really have to ground this in reality for you listening. Saving 50% might be mathematically impossible based on your current rent, your debt, or your income level.
50% is a huge number.
It is, but the exact percentage is a distraction. The mechanic of the formula, the immediate irrevocable routing of funds before you can rationalize spending them, that is the actual secret.
Whether your salary splitter routes 50%, 20%, or even just 5%, the magic is in the sequence. It is the deliberate removal of human error from your wealth-building process.
You don't have to be perfect every day.
Exactly. You're building the machine so the machine can build you.
Set up your own lasers and confetti, build that automated transfer so it fires the morning after payday before you even pour your coffee, because the story leaves us with this really profound image. At the end of every payday, DrMonkeyMan stands in his lab, he looks at that giant sealed future fund, and he whispers, "My future always gets paid first, because that's one employee I can't afford to lose."
This raises an important question, something that builds on this entire concept of the future employee, but really takes it a step further into how we actually experience life.
Okay, let's hear it.
When you automate your wealth and build that golden vine safety net, you aren't just buying financial security, you are fundamentally altering your perception of time.
Perception of time.
How so? Well, when you are trapped in the payday paradise cycle, your brain is forced to think in 30-day billing increments.
Right, month-to-month survival.
Your entire horizon is just making it to the next paycheck. But the moment the lasers fire and Vault A takes over your survival, you buy yourself the cognitive privilege of a longer time horizon.
You zoom out.
Yes, you stop thinking in months and you start thinking in decades. You begin to make evolutionary leaps in your life rather than just fighting daily fires. So the ultimate question isn't just what you are hiring your future self to do, but how much of your own future you are actually willing to unlock by simply building the machine today.